the BBC would have us think. And does Paul Taft think he can win the championship here?
I certainly can, yes, but I'm certainly not complacent about it. In fact, up till about a quarter of an hour ago, I was absolutely a bundle of nerves, and I've turned it into confidence now. I'm going out there and I'm going to do the business.
Just 10 minutes before the race, how does a driver in your position feel exactly?
Well, as I just said, I normally feel very, very nervous, and I've got over that stage now, and you know, I've done it several times before. I've just got to go out and drive as normal. Nothing in particular, nothing special, just as normal.
So you don't really have a special race plan then?
Flat out, I think. Absolutely flat out.
So much for the Birmingham battler. But what about the rest of the field here in this Honda race at Silverstone?
Just before you put your helmet on, Mark, a bit of a difference from playing bass for you this weekend.
Really? Well, how do you mean? Do you know what? Everything goes so fast, you don't really have a chance to regret it. I've got to get in actually and go there.
Is this your first race?
First race ever, first and last. You're looking at it. I don't know. I hate Jonathan Palmer for this.
It's all his fault, is it?
It's all his fault. Yeah.
All right. Well, the best of luck.
Mark King with a celebrity car, and Steve Wardby could, of course, hold off the championship winner.
Steve, the only man that can beat Paul Taft for the championship, just about to start the race. What are your thoughts at this moment?
Could do to go to sleep at the moment, I think. Just try and get everything right off the line, really. Just hope we can get into the first corner first, or hold our line. If we can get in front, I think we can do it. Yep.
And you do have to win and set fastest lap, don't you?
Yes, I think so. But try to put all that out of my mind and just go and have a good race, really. That's what it's all about, have a good race, try and win it.
Well, to try and win it is certainly going to be a tremendous task from this man, Paul Taft. With bags of experience, the Birmingham driver has been a controversial figure, but undoubtedly has been a quick and entertaining one.
I'm not going to lead the race because that would make boring filming. I'm going to stick behind the first two championship contenders, and you can see the backs of their cars for a couple of laps. Thereafter, I'll let the other cars through one by one, so you can look at the back of all these other cars. Then I'm going to spin, and you can look at all the oncoming traffic because I'll be facing the opposite direction prior to me turning round again and driving into the sand. So you can look at the marshals and how they react to getting the car out of the sand. All this on camera.
You wouldn't prefer me just to turn the camera around, would you?
Too easy. This is why I'm not going to lead this race. Or if I do lead it, I'll definitely spin in front of everybody so you can see everybody coming towards me.
Is that a promise?
I'll see what I can arrange.
Pat Watts is nearly as good a comedian as he is driver. And that front row, of course, as they're under the green flag, sees Pat Watts on the outside, the meat in the sandwich Paul Taft, and in pole position Wardby. Those are the times. Hall and Sneller on the second row, Ackley, Grady and Ludon back. That's Grady, the man who hit the pole. Gibson and Churchill next back. And it's pretty close there on times at Silverstone. So the Hondas then reaching their zenith. And we're now waiting for the blink of that green light. Up go the revs, on it comes. A beautiful start by Pat Watts, a splendid start by Wardby, a hesitant start by Taft, and it's Wardby who certainly looks the man most likely to reach Cobb's Corner first. Pat Watts has other ideas, he's trying to go around the outside of him, and strangely enough is not on the grass. They accelerate up towards Baggett's, now towards Beckett's. Watts on the outside, Wardby on the inside, and Taft somewhere in third place there, trying to find a way between them. Taft comes out tight. Battle going on there between 18 Grady and 30 Simon Sable. Down the club straight towards the new section at Silverstone here. Very heavy braking required for what is now a left-hander, and it's pretty unforgiving. Watts in the lead, Wardby gets pushed, Wardby's off. That is the end of Wardby's chances of victory in the championship, of victory in this race, because he has lost a lot of ground as a result of that manoeuvre. And, well, that's Honda Racing, and it was the controversial Taft that did the pushing. He didn't come off too well as a result of that. He's down to 4th place now. Pat Watt leads this race. Andy Ackley in 2nd place. In 3rd place, Rob Hall. In 4th place, Paul Taft. And that's number 18, Russell Grady. That car immaculate now after that incident we saw in Scotland. Here they come again. This is Beckett's. Watts leads. Ackley now in 2nd place. Hall in 3rd place. And Taft, needless to say, in 4th. And these 4 have got away a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. Down the straight they all fan out, and Pat Watts has made a mistake there. The outside is not the place to be right there. I told you it wasn't. And there we are, he does exactly as he says, and turns round to watch all the traffic. And the man who likes tyres is Peter Sneller. So Pat Watts, with damage I fear, back end of the car trailing on the floor a little bit, is about to take the short route back to the pits. No, he's not. Takes a short handbrake turn and with the, well, I don't know what that is, quite dangling off a bit of the bumper, I think, sets off. All this has left Paul Taft with not a lot to do. On the inside there and going very hard is 33, Dave Loudon, with Bill Gibson, 15, not far behind him. Replay time. This is what it feels like when Andy Ackley arrives in your boot. If you're Pat Watts, that is. And as promised, this is what it looks like when they're all coming towards you. And there's a little bit of fun going on here. Wagging a wheel in the air is Dave Loudon. Really pressing on to hold on to his 2nd place. There's no way he's going to catch Mr. Taft. But there's no way he's going to let himself get caught too easily. That is number 17 now, Graham Churchill, who's moved up ahead of number 15, Bill Gibson. And Paul Taft knows that all he has to do is to keep it on the island, to keep it in front, and the championship for 1989, this prestigious Honda Championship, which has created so much interest, is his. And right now, he's showing us that he intends to do just that. He doesn't have to be careful as he comes down here. A little bit uneven under braking there. Still very quick in. 3 wheels on his wagon as he comes into the corner. Brooklyn's there. So's Dave Loudon, but much more spectacularly so because he's on a much tighter limit. And that's Mark Donaldson, who's perhaps waiting for somebody to load in a ton of cement. Instead of that, all he gets is a marshal who shuts down the bootlet and he's back in the race. Paul Taft in the lead. But what a battle goes on behind him there with Loudon. Really going hard, really going well. Rob Hall right up there. And there's a little nudge from number 26, Rob Hall, who sends off number 15 into the boonies. Bill Gibson joins there, number 34, Rick Shortle. Now is the summer of discontent for number 17, Graham Churchill, who'd like to be in front of number 33, Dave Loudon. The winter is still ahead of them both. But down the straight they go, and there could be more excitement as they come down to this new section. Loudon comes in ridiculously quickly there. And it's on 2 wheels, it's back on 3 wheels. He clipped the curb very hard. And whoops, that's, yes, Rob Hall taking a visit onto the grass and back again. Behind Rob Hall and about to pass him, Chris Boone. He hasn't quite made that yet, but I don't think it's going to be long before he does. And Rob Hall there making a pretty rare mistake. Wicked dent in the side. And you can see now battling back up is Steve Wardby. What a pity that incident on the first lap robbed us of a chance of a real big dice for the lead. Hall. 30 going in there is Simon Sable. Wardby looking for a way through but hasn't found one. Taft doesn't need a way through, and there's nobody within striking distance of him here at Beckett's. He's eased his pace slightly, you can see that from the way that Loudon has closed the gap a little bit. And they have opened out a wee bit now behind. 23, Chris Boone. Pat Watts is back in the battle again, albeit a long way back. Gains a place there. This is Beckett's. Steering it on the throttle, not too much power to wash out at the front and wash away all his speed. And down this long club straight here at Silverstone, you can see how far away the bridge is. And this is the last of the late breakers once again. And that was all a bit tight, but it all resulted in Steve Wardby moving up now 2 places. And if he's on the inside there and he can come out on the inside, does a squeezing act. Number 9, Bob Addison, is the victim and is up a couple of places as a result of that manoeuvre. So Wardby, a disappointed man, but has driven a very, very hard race to pull himself back up into at least a respectable finish after that unfortunate incident on the first lap. That incident, which of course included this man, Paul Taft. Well in the lead, well in control, and the championship, if not within his grasp, within his sight. And that is our friendly Birmingham musician, enjoying his drive in the celebrity car. And here's the battle for second place, and here's Rob Hall, up now to 4th place. Bit on the giddy limit here. Right behind him, number 12. The man most likely to have the accident here was number 9. Bob Addison, but he didn't, so all's well that ends well. And here's an indication of the lead that Taft has got as the dust is raised by the battle that's going on for 2nd and 3rd places. Loudon holding off Churchill. Hall behind, closing in on Hall, looking as if he means it. The possibility of a battle there. We're watching, however, the 2nd place battle. And Churchill here coming in initially a little bit tighter, coming out a little bit wider, but too wide. Clips the curb, which didn't help at all. Meanwhile, Paul Taft getting on with the job. The classic line through Brooklands. All the road and none of the curb. Dab at the brakes there. All the road you'll see again. His positioning, the smoothness of his driving here, indicating that he is still going very quickly, but he's not scrabbling for tenths of a second at this stage. He can get on, drive with precision, upper gear there as he goes past the pits here. The pits that are watching him with definitely every chance of the championship ending up in his lap at the end of the race. In the background, we can see other people on the grass, but we can also see moving up quite rapidly there, number 4, Steve Wardby. And Wardby, the man to watch now. Wardby has been gaining ground steadily since that incident. And I don't say he could finish 2nd or 3rd, but he might finish 4th. Churchill, meanwhile, is alongside Dave Loudon. Loudon eases off to the right-hand side. We've found out that this can always be a problem. He has to come in without taking a really nice apex. He's offline again as he goes into the 2nd part of Woodcut there. You saw him give a little twitch as he tried to get the tail out and tighten his line. And that was a pretty reasonable piece of car control there, because he was right offline. He was driving very defensively. And anything he did that was in any way wrong was going to give the advantage all the way down the line to number 17 Churchill behind him, including that wheel on the grass bit. He's playing block and tackle here to some considerable effect. Quite a contrast, the treatment of the curbs by these two to Taft in the lead. Taft once again at Beckett's. Lines it up through the box. Nice late apex. Comes out all the road. None of the curb. Down the straight. Well and truly in charge. So close to those bollards. You can see the front tyre under stress there. Now it's the near side front that's under stress. Some idea of the tremendous hammering that tyres take. And oi, we've got on the grass there, Dave Ludan got pushed out by Churchill. Churchill made the best of that one. Churchill outfoxed Ludan there. And Ludan will not like that too much. Dave Ludan will feel that he had driven very defensively and I think got a pretty gentle nudge there for his pains. Rob Hall will like it immensely, that's got him closer. And meanwhile behind, Steve Wardby won't be terribly distressed either because it didn't do his case any harm. So this is Wardby. No doubt remembering the famous maxim, if you want to win, don't spin. But he didn't really do it by himself. This is Taft, who knows all about how he came to do it. And all about what he's doing now. And look at the stress on those tyres. That time we had a good close-up of the offside rear. All the force, all the weight there. Whoops, that's Mr. Ludan off on a wild line there. I think he thought he could do something about the Churchill car, but couldn't. And this is the last lap. And this is the checkered flag for Paul Taft here at Silverstone. But what about second place? As Taft waves, having won the championship, having won the race? That's what about. Not second, but third and fourth places. As into the barrier goes Hall, and crawling across the line goes 33, Dave Ludan. And I wouldn't be surprised if the stewards didn't want to talk to him. So Paul Taft then, a controversial figure, but nevertheless a humorous one, wins both the race and the championship from Graham Churchill, Stephen Wardby third, Mark Hazel fourth, Chris Boone fifth, and Dave Ludan awarded sixth place in spite of that problem. The presentation, and Paul Taft gets the laurels of victory. He gets the decanter too. Churchill gets his prize, Wardby gets his for third place, and we talk to Paul Taft, the newly crowned champion.
Paul, the 1989 Honda CRX champion, but I don't think you thought it would be quite that easy, did you?
No, I certainly didn't. That was I certainly had a lucky break on that second lap when everybody was running into each other, and the two in front of me collided and just left a big hole for me to go through, and I absolutely floored it when I saw that. I couldn't believe my eyes. And when I came out, I mean, there was nobody behind me, which was, I couldn't believe it.
How did you manage to stay out of all the trouble?
Well, I was trying to say something to somebody earlier on, and coming down the main straight there, where you've got several cars around you. I mean, what I do is I'm looking in my mirror, both mirrors, I'm turning my head that way and that way, and I look at everything. I'm doing it all the time, just seeing where everybody is the whole of the time. I don't know whether everybody does that, but so as soon as something happens, you've got an image at least of where people are. I think that may help.
A chance to look at that controversial incident which saw Dave Ludan and Rob Hall come together in slow-mo, and that car of Hall's really did catch that Bank of Orkney one. As we move on to the final round of the Honda Championship of 1989. The circuit, Donington Park.